For today's cup of coffee, we've got a subject that I'm really going to try not to go off on a tangent. I really, really am.
Yeah, she's going to try not to.
Well, it often happens that way. But also, at the end of the video, we also are going to share with you party footage.
Mm-hmm.
And BB had her birthday today, and we're going to share our celebration with you all.
By today, she means the day before, because we always record these videos on the day before.
So it was on October the 23rd. Yeah, I do. I brew my cups. I put it on where it's automatic brew. So I fix it the night before. That's just because I'm not getting up at 3 o'clock usually to try to make a video. I'm not coherent a lot of times at 9 o'clock.
No, that's why people usually post at 12 o'clock or later of the days.
Well, that's people, they got different schedules than I do. There's some people that they do this for a job. I do this to edify myself and hopefully others, and amuse myself and hopefully others. And I drag your ass along with me. Kids just sitting here looking at me like, I don't know, a turtle or something.
I have a chin this time. I'm no longer a turtle.
It's true. When he was first born, he did. I thought, oh my God, I birthed a turtle. For real. That was what. What we're going to be talking about today is youngest kid asked a question during the video, the previous cup of coffee, about a crone. And so within that, it's a matter of researching, because at Halloween, that is one of the things as far as the old witch, the old crone, the old hag. Mm. And that's something I don't know that I have ever heard anyone look at an older man and go, "You old wizard." Have you ever heard that?
No, I've heard people calling them "you old fuck."
Well, yeah. And that's just like, as far as referring to someone as an asshole. Which, if you want to get technical, it's the external ani sphincter. If you really want to piss somebody off.
Did you really have to go there?
Absolutely,
no,
I did.
Asshole.
And I will tell you why. Because that will, if somebody's acting like an asshole and you use the clinical terminology for it, it will piss them off because they have to think about what you've just called them.
And it sounds grosser.
Well, a lot of technical and medical terms are much grosser than, common speak.
Isn't that funny?
Well,
isn't that ironic too? It's supposed to be like, the upper crust speak or whatever.
It's Latin.
But it sounds more vulgar than what we use on a day-to-day.
Well, and you can go into who determined what is vulgar. This is why we go into, the origins of words. Mm. What they used to mean, what they're supposed to mean, how the meanings have become bastardized over the years, who decided to do that. And that is one of the things we're going to be discussing today.
Uh-huh.
Because words have power.
Absolutely do.
And people have a tendency to use words that they think they know what it means, but they don't really know what it means.
Right.
So that's sort of what we're going to be discussing today.
Yeah.
And starts out with something that comes from Neopaganism. Again, just because I discuss something does not mean I'm trying to push a belief system
She's
on
not promoting
anybody.
It. She's not damning it. She's just stating it. She's just talking about it.
Right. There's a lot of places that don't even want to approach these topics. So where do you go? You go to the ones that are at least discussing it. And then you make up your own mind whether you believe it, whether you don't. You do further research to find out whether they're accurate or if they're inaccurate.
Right.
And the conclusion that I have reached is nobody knows anything about anything. Nobody knows shit. So, but we still keep trying. From Neopaganism, there is something that is called triple goddess.
triple goddess?
Triple goddess. And this is a deity or deity archetype revered in many neo-pagan religions and spiritual traditions. And in the common neo-pagan usage, the triple goddess is viewed as a triunity of the three distinct aspects or figures united in one being. These three figures are often described as the maiden, the mother, and the crone, each of which symbolizes both a separate stage in the female life cycle and a phase of the moon, and often rules one of the realms of the heavens, earth, and the underworld. In various forms of Wicca, the masculine consort is the horned god. Now, I didn't go into the discussion of the horned god on that. And you've got a lot of people, and it's like, it's Satan. No. Cows have horns. Does that mean they're billy goats?
I guess not.
No. And just, does that make them evil because they have horns?
No.
And it's just like if you look at some of the older sculptures of Moses, he had horns.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. Go look at it. And the reason that he had horns was a mistranslation. So, yeah. Anyhow,
wow.
So it is not, we're not talking about Satan. That's a separate cup of coffee.
Actually, the one that we were talking, the one that has the goat head or whatever, you know, the comments.
Baphomet.
Yeah. Baphomet and Satan are completely different entities.
They are. But they're both dark entities.
Yeah, and they're both referred to basically as the same thing, even though they are not. Yes, they are both demonic entities, but they are not the same.
Right. Well, a lot of these things...
That's like Satan and Lucifer. No, they are not the same thing either.
No, they're not. Actually, the word is Satan, which means the accuser.
Yeah.
It's the accuser of the brethren. And so
it's
actually,
a job title.
It is. The Satan is the DA who stands there and condemns anybody who's ever made a mistake. We got a lot of little Satans growing around these places these days. Yeah. So
is Hilo outside?
I think he may have been, so you have to back up and let him in. Anyhow, so we are not talking about Satanism, nothing like that. And the various triune or triple goddess or deities who appear in groupings of three were known to ancient religions. Well-known examples include Tridevi, the charities or the graces, the hore, which are the seasons, of which there were three in the ancient Hellenistic reckoning, and the fates. Some deities generally depicted as a singular also included triplicate aspects. In one, Hera was worshipped as a girl, a grown-up, and a widow. However, according to the 3rd century BC grammarian Epigenes, the three fates were regarded by the Orphic tradition as representing the three divisions of the moon, the 13th, the 15th, and the 1st. I thought that was interesting. I'll have to look into that further. And what this represents also is the crescent moon, the full moon, and the dark moon, as delineated by the divisions of the calendar month. The fates themselves are traditionally depicted as a young girl or a spinner of the thread of life, an older woman or measurer, and an elderly woman or cutter, representing respectively birth, active life, and death. And the connection between the fates and the variously named triple moon goddess then ultimately led to a conflation of these concepts. Now, I will say within the neo-paganism, and I did read an article, which I didn't go into the full thing on that there were some people that, again, have made up things that history has not proven to be so. And it's like some of the older religions where they were not written down.
Yeah.
People have made it up as they went along.
Absolutely. So you honestly don't know what.
Right. So that was the reason as far as any of these. But now as far as the fates, yes, that's from antiquity and what they supposedly did.
Yeah.
Now the contemporary beliefs and practices of people who have this understanding of triple goddess Neopagans are not Wiccan, and within Neopaganism, the practices and theology vary widely. Many Wiccans and other Neopagans worship the triple goddess of Maiden, Mother, and Crone. So there's that word. In their view, sexuality, pregnancy, breastfeeding, and other female reproductive processes are ways that women may embody the goddess, making the physical body sacred. Now, the maiden represents enchantment, inception, expansion, the promise of new beginnings, birth, youth, and youthful enthusiasm, represented by the waxing moon. The mother represents ripeness, fertility, sexuality, fulfillment, stability, power, and life restructured by the full moon. And then the crone represents wisdom, repose, death, and endings represented by the waning moon. And I'm sure that people, I didn't know what this symbol was. I had seen it but did not understand it. You've got the round circle in the middle, and then you've got the two crescents on the outsides. That's what that means.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I said, we'd be educational and shit.
Yeah.
Also from Wikipedia, going back to the term crone, and in folklore, a crone is an old woman who may be disagreeable, malicious, or sinister in manner, often with a magical or supernatural association that might make her either helpful or obstructing. The crone is also an archetypical figure, a wise woman. Now, there's a vast difference between that.
Yeah.
As a character type, the crone shares characteristics with the hag. Now, as a noun, crone entered the English language around the year 1390, deriving from an Anglo-French word, which was an insult, itself deriving from the Old North French word, meaning disagreeable woman. Prior to the entrance of the word into English, the surname Hopcrone is recorded. So in other words, and this has happened to a whole lot of English words, that the French came into these areas and decided what was common or vulgar language. So a lot of the words that we use that had been in a lot of these other areas for a very long time were deemed uncouth by the French.
Even though they had no right to speak about
it. This is how, I'm sorry if this offends, but I'm going to offend. I do my job well. Why should I take the opinion of somebody that eats snails? And this is what, as far as Monty Python, when you had the Frenchman on the wall, and that was the one, what was it? Your mother was
Your mother was
a hamster. Was it hamster? And your father smelled of elderberries or something?
No.
What was it then?
Your mother was a lizard and your father smelled of elderberries. Or it might have been the other one. Your father was a lizard and your mother smelled of elderberries. It was, either way, it was a lizard.
Okay. Anyhow, and I fart in your general direction.
Yeah, you use that one a lot.
And yet we still allowed these people to control words in our language, including crone.
I use what it was supposed to be, which was like wise elder.
Right.
A wise elder.
Then the word hag. Hag is a wizened old woman, or a kind of fairy or goddess having the appearance of such a woman, often found in folklore in children's tales such as Hansel and Gretel. Hags are more often seen as malevolent, but may also be the chosen forms of shape-shifting deities, such as the Morgan or the Bab, who are seen neither wholly benevolent or malevolent. I guess it depends on their mood. Now, the term appears in Middle English and was a shortening of an Old English term for witch. Similarly, the Dutch and the German had also shortenings of the Middle Dutch and High German, respectively. All these words were derived from the Proto-Germanic word, which is of unknown origin. The first element may be related to the word hedge, as in shrubbery. So how in the hell do you get from hedge to witch?
Yeah.
Well, we talked about that as far as pagan and heathen, people of the heath. And so somehow all this became demeaning language towards women, older women. So I find that interesting. I find that interesting. And so I went to a website that I found that is called Crone Counsel. Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know if the first article is written by the same person, but the second one is by Anya Silverman, who is a crone. Crone Counsel uses the term crone to reference and to reclaim the name of the wise woman of ancient times.
Good.
The concept of crone existed tens of thousands of years ago when women's life patterns were conceptualized in 3 stages: maiden, mother, and crone. The maiden was the youthful, independent woman. The mother was a woman who guided others as a biological mother or teacher. The crone was the postmenopausal woman who enjoyed a special revered status. This elder woman was viewed as a fount of wisdom, law, healing skills, and moral leadership. Her presence and leadership were treasured at every significant tribal ceremony and each personal occasion from birth to death. And it says, note, in recent years, some women's groups have added matriarch as the 3rd stage before crone. The matriarch was the head of the family or tribe. In that light, Crone's counsel consistently focus on the empowerment and well-being of older women and claims that honored status of the ancient crone for contemporaries. And then
That is really cool.
I thought it was. And in the crone, it says, the ancient crone, crone, hag, and witch once were positive words for old women. Crone comes from crown, indicating wisdom emanating from the head. Hag comes from hagio, meaning holy, and witch comes from wit, meaning wise. Crones, hags, and witches frequently were leaders, midwives, and healers in their communities. The meanings of these 3 words, however, were distorted and eventually reversed during the 300 years of the Inquisition, when the male-dominated church wanted to eliminate women from holding positions of power.
Yeah.
Women identified as witches, who were often older women, such as crones and hags, were tortured and burned, and the words witch, crone, and hag took on the negative connotations that continue in our language. The crone movement, however, is reclaiming the positive meanings of these words. I thought that's pretty cool.
I thought that was pretty cool too.
And it says the crone began re-emerging into our consciousness in late 1980s, and today many older women are embracing this connection. We are tapping into the ancient crone's attributes of wisdom, compassion, transformation, healing, laughter, and bawdiness. The ancient crone archetype strengthens our belief and confidence in age-accumulated knowledge, insights, and intuitions, enabling women to stand up for their rights. We will not be invisible, ignored, or treated unfairly. We are coming together in circles and gatherings to support each other as we proudly proclaim.
You know, what's funny? I always knew hag had a negative connotation to it.
Right.
Or whatever. But I never knew crone did. I always thought crone was like something people wanted to be.
Well, our world has been so vastly off-kilter and out of balance for millennia. We have no clue. And so I think it's within that everybody...
I honestly thought that's what people, like women looked up to be, was like the crones.
Well, that's probably because that you had heard some kind of... legend or mythology or something like that, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It wasn't a story tale, but that revered, because the elders of a lot of these tribes and councils were women. And within the Cherokee, which we believe that, we have that lineage, that it was very much acceptable for women to be leaders of the tribe.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know. Like I said, somewhere we got off-kilter, out of balance, and it's, instead of working together, this has been another form of dividing people. And it's like, if you talk to somebody as a person, it doesn't matter how old they are, how young they are. If they're one of the beautiful people, if they're one of the people that's no longer physically beautiful, but as they aged, beauty moved inward.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people, they was just ugly to begin with, inside and outside and upside down.
Absolutely.
So, just because somebody is old does not mean they're wise.
Nope.
Just because they're young doesn't mean that they're stupid.
No.
So, I think it's interesting, especially at Halloween, where you do, and this has been going on for a long time. If you go and look at some of these early Halloween costumes, it did not have to do with age.
Mm-hmm.
That was the whole thing. The point of it was to be able to go amongst the spirits and otherworldly things without being recognized as human.
Right. That was the whole point, was to blend in with the spirit world.
Absolutely. It wasn't a matter of being seductive or looking trashy or looking like, Fuzzy Bunny Foo-Foo or something like that. Because when you're walking amongst these Wendigo and you go out as Fuzzy Bunny Foo-Foo, what is Wendigo going to do to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's hors d'oeuvre.
Yeah, food.
Yeah. So that was one of the basis of the Halloween costumes being grotesque. Mm-hmm. That was one of the things as far as the bonfires, to keep those things at bay. We are so fucked because we're ignorant.
Yep. That's so true. If only we could go back to those times where we were actually educated rather than these educated idiots we are now.
Well, I don't know. And was humanity ever at that level? It's hard to tell. But this has been something that has, and a lot of times God will deal with me on themes. And one of the things that has bothered me greatly is when someone will have a problem with another person, and instead of them basing an argument or whatever, points of contention, it's like, I don't agree with you because of this. What is the goal that we're trying to achieve? When somebody stops that form of argument, which is logical and rational, and starts basically haranguing someone on their physical appearance.
Right, that's just hitting below the belt because they don't got anything else to say.
Right, I mean, that absolutely, you've automatically lost the argument.
Yeah.
I mean, you're showing yourself to be an ignorant ass.
And the people who agree with those people who are making fun of the physical appearances, they're dumb too.
Well, it's a schoolyard bully tactic.
Yeah.
And it's like, we've all known the jocks in the locker room making fun of whomever and whatever. We've all seen the mean girl clubs.
All of us.
Those people are still the same people a lot of times. Some people never grow out of that, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's, but it's still annoying when you see it, you recognize it, and it's like, does stupid have an age limit? No. Apparently not.
No. Stupid is all age demographics.
It's odd to me because, like I was telling you about the wizards, that there is something amazing as males age, and just, I don't know, there is a beauty within the face of someone who has faced and overcome adversity. Mm-hmm. This youthful beauty stuff. Now that's very fleeting.
Exactly. If you don't got personality, if you don't got a good personality, then you ain't shit.
Yeah. So next time that you can get ready to call somebody an old hag or an old crone,
think of what you're saying.
Think of what you're saying, yeah. And if you want to call them, yeah, hey, you were just an old asshole. You an old external anus sphincter. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So.
I mean, there's nothing much to say about that.
No. No. But it is important to know where these words come from. And especially at Halloween to sit there and go, you know what, that ain't, Maybe that kid that was in Target yesterday that was going, Mommy, can I be a waffle? Maybe he had something, but I was just like, oh, God.
I didn't hear that, but...
Now, my kid would have been like, Mama, can I dress like the Wendigo? Why, yes, baby. Here, let me find your antlers.
I went as the one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater one year.
That was part of your play.
Yeah, but I still dressed up as... And I went as Billy from Saw.
Yeah, you did. You did. And also, as far as... He was a Living Dead doll one year. He was a fruit bat one year.
Fruit bat. I had good costumes, not this horrible...
Well, you know.
Disney shit.
It was because you had a mama that could do things. And was willing to do things.
Yeah. But you can still buy cool costumes for people.
Well, yeah.
For children.
Sure you can, if you got the monies.
So then why spend your money on something from Disney that is just cutesy? Why spend your money on something that's cutesy for Halloween in general? Why not actually be scary?
Why not? If you, instead of paying $30 to $50 for a waffle styrofoam or whatever, foam, whatever.
Make it.
Yeah, you could have got cardboard box and some paint.
You can make something way scarier with paper mache and some clay.
Oh, he wouldn't want to be scary. He wanted to be breakfast food.
A killer waffle.
Because that's what they have made Halloween into. And it's an insult.
Bump in the night, not the living bread.
Oh, that was great. Mr. Bumpy, if you've never watched Mr. Bumpy, that was a great
Seriously,
cartoon.
go as an
He was an evil slice of
bread.
Yeah.
There you go. That's a good Halloween costume if you want something.
I think it's...
Go as evil foods. Evil animated foods.
And they're like, ew, scare the children. Good. That was the whole point.
Yeah.
It was never designed... It was never supposed to be for children.
They're like, think of the children. Fuck the children.
It's like, think of the children. Tell them, the truth, that there are demons in the world.
Tell them the truth. Tell them Santa Claus isn't real. Stop that myth.
I never did that with you all.
No, you never did that with me.
Because I did not want to tell you all things and then for you to later find out, hey, Mama lied about this. What else did she lie about? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
No, because your mama's always been kind of blunt. I'm a Leo.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, God, don't ask her what she thinks unless you're really wanting to hear it.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
So... different phases.
You'll have a scorched ass just like the one composition doll I have.
I'm not. It depends on the situation. Really, I'm not always that much of a hard ass. Life and experience has made me kind of militant, but
Yeah, he's got a hard ass now too. He's burnt.
Okay. It'll all be okay. So anyhow. The costumes, let's go back to the original. Yeah.
Let's have scary costumes again.
Pre-Christian Halloween.
Yeah.
We could do a bonfire and a half right in the front yard. Yeah. So we're going to fire. We're going to have fire.
Absolutely.
Lots of fire. So if you've had experiences with paranormal, supernatural, encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, if you've had your language butchered by, I don't know, whatever group, send us an email.
Dear God.
Yeah, send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com. And yes, we will share mirthful birthday celebration. And then we'll see you all. And then we'll see you on the next cup. Thank you for sharing part of your day. Thank you for sharing a cup of coffee with us. Know that you're very loved. Bye.
Subscribe.
Something.
I would love to put this as the video tomorrow.
They can get over it.
Absolutely.
Do it anyway.
I do that.
Tell them I requested this. It's my birthday.
It's your birthday. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. That little face.
Dia de los Muertos.
Hi, your little baby. She's so spoiled.